let's get started. And folks, if they need to jump in a little bit later, they certainly can. But welcome everybody to the URI Pre-Health Advising Summer Health Professions Education Program, otherwise known as SHPEP Information Session. So SHPEP is a program that's really well known and well respected nationwide. Joining us today, we have Lleayem Nazario-Johnson, who attended SHPEP in 2019, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2019, down at Columbia. I am here, John Albert, pre-health advisor. Dr. Simmons cannot be with us tonight. But what we're going to do tonight is just give y'all some information about the program. Lleayem, having experienced it a couple years ago, is going to talk about his experience. So just an opportunity to learn about SHPEP. In advance of the fact that this summer's program, the application deadline is in about 2 weeks, February 5th. So if folks are thinking this is a program they might want to apply to, giving some information for that. So how it's going to start is I'm going to kind of give a rundown of the program and how it runs, but then it's going to be kind of a guided Q&A. I have some questions for Lleayem just to talk about his experience. Full disclosure, Lleayem attended this in person, when it was running in 2019. This past year, 2020, as well as this coming year's program, 2021, are also going to be virtual. So we don't know a lot of the answers to the questions you might have, but we definitely know who to get you in contact with over at SHPEP. And then just so folks know, this session is being recorded. We're recording it tonight. We're going to put it on our Pre-Health Advising YouTube page. If folks want to go back, if you're like, wait, I wanted to ask a question, or I wanted to get the answer to a question again, and then we'll also open it up for folks to chat some questions. It's a small group tonight, so maybe we can just have it be over audio, some questions to Lleayem specifically, because he knows more than me when it comes to this program. That's why I wanted to make sure we had him on here tonight. So diving right in, what is SHPEP? What is the Summer Health Professions Education Program? I thought it would be good to start with their mission statement to get a sense of exactly what it is they're trying to do. So SHPEP started in 1989, and it's a free summer enrichment program focused on improving access to information and resources for college students interested in the health professions. SHPEP's goal is to strengthen the academic proficiency and career development of students underrepresented, key point there, underrepresented in health professions, and prepare them for a successful application and matriculation to health professional schools. So SHPEP is not one size fits all in the sense that it's one program that takes place in one location. But it's actually a program that's implemented at 12 universities all across the country. Each institution provides scholars with the academic enrichment in the basic sciences and math, clinical experience, career development activities, learning and study skills, seminars, and financial planning. And these programs are run over the summer. Usually they're in person at these various locations, but they will be running virtually from those host sites. One question in an info session that I had was that even though this is virtual, is it still an expectation that you're going to be attending the site, like on site? Will you be attending from your house? It is virtual, so it will be from your house. So for example, if you're living in Providence this summer, you'll attend it in Providence, even if you're at Columbia, if you're at Rutgers, if you're at Alabama, Birmingham, if you're at Louisville, like there's lots of different sites all over the country. So I have their flyer. I thought that was a really good way to kind of just think about what SHPEP is. Going to jump right into some questions for Lleayem. Lleayem, this was obviously a year and a half ago, that you did this, but what drew you to SHPEP when you were thinking about things you wanted to do during your, was it the summer after your freshman year or the summer after your sophomore year?
After my freshman year.
Yeah.
So I heard about the program at the one of the URI pre-health little information. There like a bunch of tables and stuff and all that. I went around all the tables, saw SHPEP. I was like, this looks pretty cool. And I realized I noticed it was for underrepresented people in medicine. And so that really drew me to it as well. And also the mission statement, like you said, they have a commitment to, improving and increasing the access to, healthcare field and healthcare education, all that stuff to people who are underrepresented in the field. So that was a pretty important selling point for me.
Nice, awesome. And so you applied and were accepted the summer after your freshman year. What sites did you apply to? Why did you choose those sites? And then what site did you eventually end up attending?
So I applied to Columbia University in New York. I applied to University of Washington, and I applied to UCLA, I think it was, in California. So I applied to Columbia because Columbia University, everybody knows, is a great school, Ivy League, prestige and all that. Um, Also, I wanted to experience New York, and I knew that Columbia would have the resources, and they have the name to bring in people, and they have access to everything pretty much. And then for Washington and UCLA, I wanted to try see if I can get far away, or just try something new. Also, they have the resources, and also their mission statements on the website. So when you read their stuff, they have an explanation of what they do and what they prioritize. And that also drew me to all three of those different sites. So I ended up going to Columbia. As you can see, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I got a Columbia Bachelor's College of Physicians and Surgeons. So that was great. And yeah, there was second parts of the question you said.
Well, why did you just talking about why you chose those specific sites? So I think that you kind of did answer that question. I think that to clarify a little bit on the application process, when you apply to SHPEP, you apply and you select your sites during the application process, right?
Yeah,
So
you
that's
select
the
three
time
sites.
looking at them.
Yeah, you select three sites in the application. I don't know if it's changed now, but when I did it, was three sites you select, and they you just do one application, and they send to all three of them, and then you hear back around all the same times, like 1 or 2 day difference between the when you find out if you get in or not. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Yeah. Oh, I apologize. My dog might be trying to join as well in this conversation. So, Liam, what would a typical day look like in this program? I think some students were surprised to hear that you're in class, for part of the time.
Yep. So as part of the the mission of SPEP, it prepares you for your prerequisite courses for your chosen healthcare field. So they're the classes they offer are the biochemistry, gen chem, bio, psychology, and physics. I took biochem and physics because I already taken the other classes beforehand. So typical day, depending on the day, you would start at 9 o'clock. You go to two classes. So you get put into two classes based on your transcript. What you need to take, or if you need help with a certain class, you could ask them to go to a certain class or not. But you have from 9 to I think 12 or 11:30. You did those two classes, um, and you be in there learning. As it's just like regular class. You get grades and tests. There's a bit of homework, all that stuff, and then the TAs help, and they also bring people from within the college, within Columbia, to come teach you guys as well. And then after those classes, you have a break, lunch break, and go wherever you want. Just make sure you're back on time. And then the rest of the day will consist of speakers coming to talk to all of us. And that's on a typical day. So Monday through Thursday, it was like that. Um, and then Tuesday and Thursday had a different schedule, but same setup pretty much. So the people that came were like just everybody. There was every topic that you could imagine was covered. So like paying bills, underrepresentation. What does this specialty do? What does that specialty do? I can get more into it later if you guys have any questions. And then on Fridays, which might be a little different now for you guys, but Fridays for us was clinical day. We were depending on your specialty or your chosen field. So I chose medicine, obviously, but there's pharmacy, there's nursing, there's PT, OT, all that stuff. So I chose medicine, obviously, and they set us up with shadowing at the New York Presbyterian Hospital, which was amazing and huge. So each week you'd get an assigned specialty to go to. So, for example, I got anesthesiology the first day. So you can wake up and you communicate with the person you're going to be shadowing. They give you the email and everything. Set up a time when you're going to go there, when you're going to leave. So I wake up at 6 a.m. and then I was there until like 4 o'clock. Yeah, I didn't want to leave. It was great. So, and I know other specialties. They had dentistry. They went to the dental clinic, did some practicing of some models, nursing, same thing, pharmacy, same thing. And yeah.
Nice, nice. So it sounds like a full day and a full week.
Yep. Yeah. Every day, nine to five, every day.
Yeah. You mentioned some of the speakers and some of the different like topics that you guys would have. What were some of the ones that really stood out to you as being really either like beneficial or really eye opening?
So beneficial. Let's start with beneficial. So they talked about a lot about taking out loans because a lot of us underrepresented people. We don't. Some of us are, first gen college students. We don't know about all that loan stuff and how to pay it back. So they had a very in depth. And this is I think this was a 3 day lecture kind of. They talked about us. They talked about it, loans and interest, deferments, forbearance, all that stuff, all those terms that need. Um, so that was definitely the most beneficial one. And then eye opening was definitely the statistics and stuff about it was one about just representation in general in medicine. So in all fields as well. So they just had statistics, numbers, historical facts, and then what Columbia. I was at Columbia, so what Columbia is doing to take steps towards minimizing that underrepresentation. And there was a lot of things similar to that topic. So that kind of fell under a lot of different lectures, just with a certain focus in each one. So
Nice, nice. Yeah. You talked about the one about the underrepresentation and the statistics. I know I've had an opportunity, Liam, to read some of your personal essays from different things that you've done here on campus. And you had mentioned one of them about how at SHPEP you felt very comfortable around your peers, which is not always a given sometimes at URI, given what you're interested in and your role in the URI community. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about what it was like to feel a little more comfortable in your skin doing some of these activities at Columbia as opposed to being at URI.
yeah, so I definitely felt more comfortable in my skin. I don't know if you guys saw, if you go on the Columbia or the SHPEP website and go to the Columbia site, I'm in that picture, and everybody in that picture looks someone like me. So that's different than URI. A lot of most of the student body at URI is Caucasian. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, just from when I grew up, it's just more like me. So it was comfortable. It was nice seeing people who look me in the same interest. Um, you know, we talk the same way. We spoke Spanish. A lot of people spoke Spanish there, and a whole bunch of other languages. There were people from all over the country as well. There's people from Hawaii, Alaska, Puerto Rico, name it, and they were there. So it was very nice to see people that had the same backgrounds and perspectives and same concerns as I have, as compared to some peers here who just haven't had that experience, coming from different backgrounds. So that's really nice to have people that are similar in that way to you.
Nice, nice. Um, you definitely started to like perk up when you were talking about your clinical experience, being there in the hospitals. What were some of the like stories that you might have from that? You mentioned day one anesthesia from like sun up to sundown, but any other ones that were really cool?
All right, so I had anesthesia. Let's talk about anesthesia first. That was awesome. All right, so I was tired, but you wake up when you're there.
No pun intended. Yeah.
Yeah. so we went to it. The first thing we did was we saw an open heart surgery. So literally, the person was like under anesthesia, and their chest was completely open, and they were on bypass. So all the blood was going through all these tubes and all this fancy stuff. They didn't know what the names were, but that, and then we went down to the radiology lab where the anesthesiologist would do his part, and we saw the radiologist do his part. So I had 2 weeks of pediatrics, one with regular pediatrics, adolescent pediatrics, and then neonatology, neonatal pediatrics. Uh, Very sad, very eye-opening. Neonatal very sad to see babies in these conditions. But it gives you it opens your eyes to what you will see being a healthcare professional. Um, then I also had general surgery. Um, I had 1 week there was like a hiccup or something, so we couldn't get anything on that week. But for that week, we went to dentistry, and that was fun. Went to dental clinic, had some fun with the drills and stuff, and the fake models and teeth. And then there was a one where we went to the nursing simulation lab, and we had a fake patient there with all these symptoms and stuff, and had people come in, and there was like a group of us. We said, how do we approach this patient? We didn't have any experience, but it was a learning experience, so that's why we went there. So just people asking what seems to be the problem today, and all this other stuff. And I'm pretty sure I saw this on the website and also on the Instagram that this nursing simulation is going to be part of the virtual experience. So your decisions you make will directly impact the virtual patient. So it's a very hands-on experience, even if it's virtual.
Nice, nice. So How did you feel that SHPEP prepared you for a career in medicine? Yeah, obviously that's your desired career. Not there yet, of course, but fingers crossed. But how do you feel like it prepared you for that?
So definitely the classes, obviously. The classes, it's not a transfer credit kind of class. It's just for because it's very short time. You can't cover everything, but it gives you an introduction to what you will be taking at URI. So I had physics there. You learn your everything, right? You learn what you can fit in the time. You take your tests, you have your final, get a grade, and it just prepares you for what will come in the fall. So I took it in the summer. Obviously, I had physics in the summer at SHPEP. I had physics in the fall. I did great because of preparation. And then for the other stuff like the lectures and the speakers that came to us, it just gives you a all around better picture, and it makes you cement your decision and wanting to be a healthcare professional, right? So you learn all these things that you just wouldn't know, unless you dug really deep on Google. You spent a night till five in the morning on Google looking up all these questions and stuff. But it really cements you want to be a physician. And then the clinical experience. Can you handle this? Is this something you want to do on a daily basis? Uh, do you see yourself getting tired of this? Do you see yourself being happy and satisfied with what you do every day? And back to the underrepresented things. Um, how can you make a difference? And they really explain how you can do that. And then the people who are in front of you, those are the people making differences, and they're inspirations. They're people who you can reach out to. And that's another thing. You can reach out to all the people who came to speak to you. They gave the emails, the program coordinator email. I still get emails from Mr. Howard to this day about everything. So they're really accessible. Everybody's really nice, and they want you to talk to them. So ask questions, be engaged with all the presentations that are there because they're there for you and they want you to learn.
Yeah, that was going to be my final question before we kind of change gears. Was do you still keep in contact with your cohort as well as the different like support staff that were part of the program?
Yep. So we have our group me. So when you get there, you get put into it. This is like there was like 8 groups, something like that, and you'll have a TA, and you also have a group me for that group. So we have our group there, and then you make your own personal friends, right? So we have our Snapchat group, and that Snapchat group is still going to this day. Had it not been for COVID, we would have met up a couple of times already back in New York. This is a kid from Hawaii, kid from New York, Ohio. We would have made it back there already. We're already planning to. So definitely, even in the virtual experience, make sure you have your friends. They know stuff that you don't. You know stuff that they don't. You guys can help each other. My friends and from the cohort, they send me, stuff about scholarships I just didn't hear about. Just programs you can apply, research programs over the summer you can apply to. That is wouldn't have found otherwise. So it's definitely something you want to do, and also you can see what paths they're taking, how it differs from yours. What can you do to strengthen your application to your health profession, and help them as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the information session that I had attended earlier this year had one of this year's ambassadors, and she had talked about how she attended virtually. She said that GroupMe had been continuing to be blowing up. Even like this was around Christmas time, and everyone's still in contact. Even though it was a little bit of virtual school, with being on Zoom calls and stuff, they were still really able to connect. And some folks that were maybe a little bit closer geographically were able to get together, safely, which is kind of neat. So awesome. So we'll open up for questions for Lleayem a little bit towards the end, but I do want to give us some time to just talk about the application process and what it looks like, and how I can be of some support here at URI. So again, this is all just copy cropped out of the SHPEP website. So a little bit of information about the timeline. The applications are open, and the deadline to submit is February 5th, which I think is about 2.5 weeks from now. I think it's either a Thursday or Friday, that February 5th, at midnight Eastern, which generally for URI not a big deal as opposed to Pacific time. And they do a pretty quick turnaround in terms of getting those application decisions out to you. There is not an interview process, right, Lleayem? It's just a paper application, that they're looking at, and they get back to you mid-March. So things that you need to meet in terms of eligibility: high school graduate, not a concern. Freshman, sophomore, which I think I recognize a lot of the names on this call, so I think that applies to everybody here. Minimum GPA of over 2.5, be a U.S. citizen or meet the other criteria that are listed right there, and then have not participated previously in the program, which again, I do not think is a concern as well. And then other factors for consideration include identifying with a group that is racially or ethnically underrepresented in health professions, comes from an economically or educationally disadvantaged background, demonstrate interest in issues affecting underserved populations, or submits a compelling personal statement. So if you're feeling as though that this doesn't necessarily apply to you, some of the things in those first things, if you can make a compelling statement, you're still encouraged to apply. As Liam can probably speak to, they take folks from all over in all walks of life, experiencing all sorts of different things. So definitely encourage you to apply, no matter whether or not one or all of these do apply to you. And in terms of what you have to do for your application, it's relatively straightforward. There's an online application portal that you'll need to register for, just to submit some information about yourself. That includes one personal statement, as well as a resume. You'll also need to submit your transcript, and you'll also need a letter from a qualified reference. I believe that they request it from either your pre-health advisor, which would be me, or from a college professor, ideally someone in the sciences. Again, if you're a freshman or even a sophomore, that's tough, and they recognize that. They recognize that idea of, like, if you're a freshman in college this year, you might not have made great connections with your professor over Zoom. Like, Professor Adams is great, but she's tough to connect with if it's all taking place over Zoom when you can't go up to somebody afterwards. So that being said, if you're thinking to want to apply to this program, I've already written a couple letters this year, and I'm planning to write a few more. Just reach out to me, and I'll walk you through the process of what I often request of students who are interested in applying. Liam, how did you find the application process to go when you did it a couple years back?
I think it was pretty straightforward. There's just a lot of information to type in. So they asked about extracurriculars, grades. I don't know if I remember this correctly, but I feel like there's for each site there was something about writing why you wanted to go there. It wasn't very long. I don't know if that's right or not. I don't know.
I think that you're right. Yeah. So what Liam's referring to is the 12 sites have unique focuses. As you might imagine, in addition to some offering different specialties in healthcare, some have more of an institutional focus on a particular population, or a particular way of approaching medicine. And so they'll be interested in knowing, why are you choosing, the University of Florida as opposed to the University of Louisville? It's not just because of the weather. I assume, like, you must be a reason why you want to go there. So I think there is like a short, like something like 500 characters even, expected as to why you're looking for each individual, but that'll be in the application process itself.
Yep.
Cool. Any other tips, Liam, for folks who are applying?
Definitely focus on your personal statement. That was probably the most important part, I think, of the application, based on what the directors and whatnot they said to us when we all got on like our introduction day, or so they're really compelled by everybody's personal statement, regardless of how your grades, your background. It was really about the personal statement and what you're trying to get out of the program, what are your goals and whatnot. So you definitely want to give that some time and effort. That's definitely the most important part.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this program, compared to maybe a lot of other different health programs, has that 2.5 GPA minimum, as opposed to we see sometimes 3.0, 3.5. And I think I really appreciate that in terms of equity, in ability, that we want to know your story more so than just like the grades, especially a lot of us have had rough starts to college. First semester was during a pandemic, and maybe our grades aren't what we want them to be or what we're capable of. But just something to keep in mind, that personal statement, I agree, is really going to be integral when you do go about applying. All right, so moving right along, questions for Liam. We had 6 to start. We're down to just a few. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we have a couple folks here with us today. Any questions for Liam or myself this evening?
So I just had a question about like the classes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you said that, I don't know if I missed it or something, but you said you take, it's like 9 to 5, you do like activities all day, and you do take classes like in somewhere in between there.
Yep.
And do those classes like apply to like a credit for URI or no?
They do not. They're not. There's not all the information that you would get at URI in the class is not covered because it's such a short period of time. You usually get through, maybe if I've compared to a semester, maybe about halfway through semester, or maybe a little more than that. So it's definitely not enough to be a credit, but is certainly something you should take seriously. And also they give out awards at the end for people who do, most improved, whoever did the best in the class. So it's something you want to try for, and it's also really good practice for what you will be dealing with at URI during your regular semester. So, but it is not transfer credit.
Thank you. And then I just had one more other question,
Mhm.
and that was oh shoot, I'm so sorry, I just forgot.
All right.
I will get back to you on that.
All right.
And for the timeline thing about the 9 to 5, so yeah, the first part of the day about until noon it would be the classes. There's a little break between the classes, and then afterward would be the rest of the presentations and any other enrichment things they have planned for us on the day. But it could be different because it's virtual now, and also I don't know if they have different shuffle things around, but
Yeah, in the session that I attended, it did seem as though they are looking to do a similar structure, where it'd be class in the morning, and then speakers in the afternoon and evening. And again, I think that with, we ran an event, or we ran the program you or I did this past summer or past fall semester. Virtual shadowing is happening. It certainly isn't necessarily getting to the same level as being able to actually be there and see all those different pipes and tubes you don't know the names of with all the blood flowing
yeah.
around. But it still is a really great opportunity. And I do believe they're going to really try to push some of those virtual opportunities during SHPEP this summer as
Yeah,
well.
that's also certainly something you can put on your application to your healthcare profession. They understand it's difficult to get that in-person, experience. So that virtual shadowing, definitely something you can put on there and definitely talk about. Just try to make the most of it. It's difficult, but you have to deal with what's in front of you. You know?
Definitely, definitely.
And also, I'm pretty sure that they will be sending you guys stuff throughout, or maybe beforehand, to prepare you guys for what's going to come. So I know we got some handouts when we got there, but I saw on Instagram and stuff on the site that people were getting mailed, models and stuff, and just little, yeah, just this thing. So it's not all on the screen. There's something in front of you as well to help help with whatever you're doing, whatever
Nice.
you're doing. Yeah.
All right, and thank you so much. And I also remember my second question.
Yeah.
Is this like something you can like put on your resume and like say like for like maybe like interviews or just like anything just to like show that you've had this experience?
Yeah, it's certainly on my resume.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, it's
Where's
one
the
of the
top?
top.
Where's the top?
Yeah, it's one of the top things on my resume. I love talking about it. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Brown EIP program for medical school. I just had the interview last Friday, and that was one of the things we talked about. It was at the top of my what your extracurriculars. It was right there, SHPEP. And it's also a very well-known program. So like John said at the beginning of the program, it's at the beginning of the Zoom, it's nationally known, recognized, and it's from the AMC, the American the Associate of Medical Colleges. So it's legit, nothing to worry about. And all these programs are all these sites are known to medical schools and admissions committees, and not just medical school, but dentistry, PT, everything. So it's definitely something you can talk about and they're interested in.
And it's competitive, but it also there's lots of slots. I believe it's over 900 students in any given year get accepted.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. Well, any other questions for Liam primarily or myself? Cool. Well, I encourage folks, if you're interested to apply, to reach out to myself or Liam. I am actually
Oh,
going
do you
to.
want to put my email in the chat or something?
Yeah, why don't you? I was going to bring the chat back up or the screen, but if you want to put your email, Liam, into the chat, and that way, folks, will have that. Um, Again, the deadline to apply is February 5th, and your references need to be in by that time as well. And being on the other side now, it is not as quick as just like, oh, let me just take 15 minutes to write like a letter of reference. We want to do right by you guys, and write a strong letter. So you generally want to reach out within a week or two, for folks for the turnaround. So if you're thinking you want to do it, you think you want to talk to me, you want to talk to the professor, definitely encourage y'all to reach out, and do that. Also spend some time looking at the different sites. In addition to them being in different physical locations, even though it's going to be virtually this year, they also run during different dates. So some of the programs will run like early June to mid-July. Some will run from early July to August. They all have different dates, and the expectation, understandably, is that you're going to be attending the whole thing. So definitely encourage you to look at those different ones. Some unique opportunity to attend something on the other side of the country this year virtually. Keep in mind of that time difference, though. I do believe they're going to be running on their time. So if you're thinking of doing 9 to 5 Pacific time, that'd be 12 to 8. So you just got to make sure that you get your workload, squared away. But I want to take a moment to thank Lleayem, for chatting about his time in the program, giving his insight. I'm sure he'd be able to answer questions if folks had them via email. But otherwise, thanks, folks, for being a part of this this kind of really quickly thrown together event, and be in touch if you have any questions, okay?
And what's one last thing? My email, that just want to make sure there's no N at the end of Johnson. It couldn't fit, and they just gave me that. So yeah, it's to John. So
yeah, and if it doesn't work, if it bounces back, just send an email to me and I'll connect you guys as well. So, all right, folks, have a great Tuesday night. Enjoy the snow, and see y'all in a couple weeks at the beginning of the semester.
Thank you all.